This is 1004.7 FM. Daniel Rothman here, and if you're just tuning in this Monday morning, welcome. It's a little past 6 a.m. November 13th. The sun's coming up over the city, and we've got what looks like a clear day ahead. Temperature sitting around 42 degrees, should climb to about 55 by this afternoon. Not bad for mid-November. Traffic's moving pretty smoothly on the interstate, though we're getting some reports of congestion near the medical district. Probably the usual Monday morning rush to the hospitals, shift changes, that sort of thing. Nothing to worry about yet. Emily just handed me a note here. Apparently there's been some kind of incident overnight at one of the research facilities downtown. Neurogen Pharmaceuticals, if you're familiar with them. They're one of those companies working on experimental treatments, vaccines, that kind of cutting-edge stuff. According to what Emily's hearing from the police scanner, there was some sort of disturbance at their main campus around 3 this morning. Details are pretty sparse right now. Could be a break-in, could be a security issue. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. In the meantime, let's talk about the week ahead. City Council's meeting tomorrow night to discuss the new zoning proposals for the waterfront development. That's been controversial. Lots of residents concerned about property values and traffic. If you want to make your voice heard, the meeting starts at 7 p.m. at City Hall. Public comment period scheduled for 8. Weather's going to hold steady through Wednesday, then we're looking at a cold front moving in from the northwest. Could see some rain Thursday night into Friday morning. Perfect excuse to stay inside, catch up on that reading you've been putting off. Emily's telling me we've got Mrs. Patterson on the community line wanting to talk about the Neighborhood Watch program. Not right now, Emily. We'll get to community calls after the 7 o'clock news block. Tell her we appreciate her patience. You know, it's mornings like this when I really appreciate this job. Been doing this broadcast for what, 16 years now? 17 in February. Started out doing overnight shifts at a college station, worked my way up. Never thought I'd still be sitting behind a microphone talking to you folks at 6 in the morning, but here we are. There's something comforting about routine, about being that constant voice you hear every morning with your coffee. Speaking of which, I need to remember to grab another cup before the 7 o'clock hour. Emily makes it too strong, I keep telling her, but she insists that's how real coffee is supposed to taste. I think she's trying to keep me awake through sheer caffeine overdose. All right, let's check in with the traffic cameras. Interstate looking good, southbound lanes moving at normal speed. There's that cluster near the medical district I mentioned, looks like it's starting to clear up now. Northbound side completely clear. Surface streets downtown showing normal volume for this time of morning. The construction on 5th and Main is still ongoing. They've got the left lane blocked off, so if you're heading that direction, give yourself an extra few minutes. Emily just put another note in front of me. Says the police are requesting that people avoid the area around Neurogen Pharmaceuticals, roughly a 4-block radius around their main campus on Industrial Boulevard. They're calling it a safety precaution while they investigate whatever happened overnight. No official statement yet from the company or the police department. I'm sure we'll hear something official within the next hour or two. Neurogen's been in the news lately, actually. They've been running clinical trials for a new rabies treatment. Revolutionary stuff according to the press releases they've been putting out. Traditional rabies treatment requires multiple injections, has to be administered within a specific window after exposure, you know the drill. Neurogen claimed they were developing something that could work even after symptoms appeared. Pretty ambitious considering rabies is almost always fatal once symptoms start. They put out a call for volunteers a few months back. Healthy adults willing to participate in phase 2 trials. Paid pretty well from what I heard. Couple $1,000s for your time, medical monitoring, the whole 9 yards. I remember thinking it seemed a bit risky, but I suppose that's what medical research is all about. Someone's got to be willing to try new things or we'd never make any progress. Still, you've got to wonder what kind of incident at a pharmaceutical research facility requires a 4-block safety perimeter at 3 in the morning. Let me check the news wires here while we've got a moment. Associated Press, Reuters, local feeds, nothing major happening nationally. Stock futures looking stable ahead of the opening bell. Overseas markets closed, mixed. Asian markets down slightly on manufacturing concerns. European markets up on energy sector gains. Locally, there's that ongoing debate about the school budget. Superintendents proposing cuts to arts programs to cover the deficit. Parents are organizing protests. Tale as old as time, isn't it? Never enough money to go around, always got to make difficult choices about what matters most. I've always thought cutting arts programs was short-sighted, but then again, I'm not the one trying to balance a multi-million-dollar budget with declining enrollment and rising costs. Temperatures up to 43 degrees now. Sun's fully up, beautiful orange glow across the skyline. Days like this, you remember why you live in this city despite all its problems. Emily's telling me the phones are starting to light up. People calling in about the neurogen situation, wanting to know what's going on. I don't have any more information than what I've already told you folks. Police are investigating. They've asked people to avoid the area. That's all we know right now. As soon as we hear something official, you'll hear it here. Let's go to some music while we wait for more information to come in. This is The National here on You're listening to Tintro 4.7 FM. Daniel Rothman with you on this Monday morning. Time now is 6:23. We're continuing to monitor the situation at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals downtown. Still no official word from authorities about what exactly happened overnight. Emily's showing me some social media posts from people who live near the facility. Apparently there was quite a bit of commotion around 3 a.m. Reports of screaming, police vehicles, ambulances. One person posted that they saw what looked like people being loaded into ambulances, but the details are unclear and unverified. You know how social media is. Everybody's got a phone, everybody's got an opinion, not everybody's got accurate information. I want to remind everyone listening that speculation doesn't help anyone. We'll stick to verified facts as they come in from official sources. In the meantime, if you live or work near Industrial Boulevard, follow the police department's guidance and avoid the area. Let's talk about something else while we wait for updates. The city's planning commission approved the new farmers market pavilion last week. Construction's supposed to start in spring, should be completed by next fall. That'll be nice, give the vendors a proper covered space instead of those temporary tents they've been using. The farmers market's become a real community gathering spot over the last few years. I'm glad to see the city investing in it. My wife loves going to the farmers market. Every Saturday morning, rain or shine, she's out there talking to the vendors, buying vegetables we already have in the refrigerator, coming home with bags of produce and homemade bread. I tell her we're going to turn into rabbits with all the vegetables she brings home, but secretly I appreciate it. Tastes better than the stuff from the grocery store, and you're supporting local farmers. Win-win. Emily's got another update. The police department just issued a brief statement. They're confirming there was an incident at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals involving multiple individuals. They're not releasing specifics yet, but they're asking anyone who had contact with Neurogen employees or trial participants in the last 48 hours to call a special hotline they've set up. I'll give you that number in just a moment. Let me make sure I've got it written down. The number is 555-0147. That's 555-0147. Again, this is for anyone who's had direct contact with Neurogen employees or clinical trial participants in the last 2 days. The police aren't saying why they need this information, just that it's important for their investigation. Starting to feel a little more serious than a simple break-in or security incident, isn't it? Let me see what else we've got here. The animal shelter is hosting an adoption event this weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4. They're waiving adoption fees for adult dogs and cats, trying to make room for the winter influx. If you've been thinking about adding a furry friend to your family, might be a good time to stop by. Traffic update, let's check those cameras again. Interstate's still moving well. That congestion near the medical district has cleared up completely. Downtown surface streets showing normal Monday morning volume. Construction on 5th and Main still blocking that left lane. You know, I've been thinking about something lately. We talk a lot on this show about news and traffic and weather, the practical stuff you need to get through your day, but we don't talk enough about the things that really matter. Community connection, looking out for each other. I think that's something we've lost in a lot of ways. Everyone isolated in their own little bubbles, staring at screens, forgetting there are actual human beings on the other side of all this technology. When I started in radio, it was different. People called in, had conversations, felt like they were part of something. Now everybody's got their own podcast, their own social media echo chamber. I'm not saying it's all bad, progress is progress, but I do think we've lost something along the way. Emily's giving me a look. She thinks I'm being sentimental again. Maybe I am. Comes with getting older, I suppose. You start appreciating the things that used to annoy you. All right, news is coming up at the top of the hour. We'll have a full update on the Neurogen situation, assuming we get more information in the next half hour. In the meantime, here's Arcade Fire coming up on 7 o'clock, and you're listening to 104.7 FM. Daniel Rothman here, and we've got some developing news this morning regarding that incident at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals. Emily's been monitoring the police scanner and news wires, and the situation seems to be evolving. City Hospital is reporting an unusual influx of emergency cases this morning. Emily's telling me they've received at least 7 patients in the last 3 hours, all presenting with similar symptoms: extreme agitation, fever, what the initial reports are calling altered mental status. The hospital isn't confirming whether these cases are connected to the Neurogen incident, but the timing is interesting. The police perimeter around Neurogen has been expanded to 6 blocks now. That's significant. They're also setting up checkpoints on the major streets leading into that area. Emily says traffic cameras are showing quite a backup forming on Industrial Boulevard as officers check vehicles. I'm looking at the Neurogen website right now. Their main page has a banner statement posted about 20 minutes ago. Let me read this to you exactly as it appears. Quote, Neurogen Pharmaceuticals is cooperating fully with local authorities regarding an incident at our research campus. The safety of our employees, trial participants, and the community is our highest priority. We are working to gather all relevant information and will provide updates as appropriate. End quote. That's pretty vague, but it's at least an acknowledgement that something happened. The fact that they mention trial participants specifically is notable. Let me give you some background on what Neurogen was actually doing, because I think it's relevant here. Their rabies treatment trial was based on a modified virus approach. Instead of using traditional antibodies, they were attempting to use a weakened version of the rabies virus itself to trigger a more aggressive immune response. The theory was that this would work faster and more effectively than conventional treatment. Now, I'm not a scientist. I don't pretend to understand all the molecular biology involved here. But I do remember reading some criticism when they first announced the trial. Several virologists questioned whether modifying the rabies virus was safe, even in a controlled setting. Rabies is one of the deadliest viruses known to medicine. Once symptoms appear, the survival rate is essentially zero. The idea of intentionally introducing a modified version into human subjects made some people nervous. Neurogen defended their approach, said they had multiple safety protocols in place, independent oversight, the whole 9 yards. The FDA approved the trial, so presumably they felt confident in the safety measures, but clearly something has gone wrong. Emily's just handed me another note. Fire department is now on scene at Neurogen, multiple units. That's in addition to the police and ambulances already there. She's hearing on the scanner that they're setting up some kind of decontamination area. That's concerning. Decontamination suggests they're worried about exposure to something, whether that's a chemical, biological agent, or what, I don't know. Temperature outside is 45 degrees now. Traffic is getting heavier as we hit the morning rush. Interstate southbound starting to slow down around the downtown exits. If you're heading into the city for work, you might want to consider alternate routes, especially if your normal commute takes you anywhere near Industrial Boulevard. Let me check in with the national news feeds again. Still nothing about our situation here. Makes sense, it's still early, still localized, but I imagine that'll change if this keeps developing. I'm going to be honest with you folks, and maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but something about this feels off. The speed at which this is escalating, the resources being deployed, the vagueness of the official statements. In 16 years of doing this job, I've covered a lot of incidents. Chemical spills, fires, even that gas leak that evacuated 3 neighborhoods back in 2019. This feels different. There's a level of urgency in the official response that doesn't match what they're telling the public. Emily agrees with me. She's been doing this almost as long as I have, and she's got good instincts for when something's being downplayed, but I also don't want to fearmonger. We don't have all the facts yet. Could be they're just being extremely cautious out of an abundance of safety. That's the charitable interpretation, and until we know otherwise, that's what we'll go with. Here's what we know for certain. There was an incident at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals overnight. Multiple people were taken to the hospital. Police have established a significant perimeter and are asking people to avoid the area. The hospital is seeing unusual cases. That's it. That's all the confirmed information we have. If you're in the Industrial Boulevard area, follow police instructions. If you had contact with anyone from Neurogen in the last couple days, call that hotline 5555. Otherwise, go about your Monday as normal. Keep your radio tuned here, and I'll update you the moment we learn anything new. Let's take a short break. This is 7:15 now, and the sun is fully up. It's actually a beautiful morning out there, clear skies, that crisp November air. Kind of ironic given what we're dealing with. Emily just got off the phone with her contact at City Hall. Apparently there's an emergency meeting happening right now with the mayor, police chief, fire chief, and health department director. That meeting wasn't on any public schedule, so whatever they're discussing, it came together quickly. I'm also seeing reports on social media, and again, take these with a grain of salt, but people are posting about unusual police activity in several neighborhoods. Not just around Neurogen, but scattered throughout the city. Emily's trying to verify these through the scanner, but there's a lot of chatter, hard to sort through it all. One post that's getting a lot of attention is from someone claiming to be a nurse at City Hospital. She's saying the patients they've received this morning are exhibiting behavior she's never seen before. Extreme violence, she says, requiring physical restraints. She describes one patient who was restrained to a bed and still managed to injure himself trying to break free. The post has been shared hundreds of times already, people demanding answers. Now, I can't verify if this person is actually a nurse or if what she's saying is accurate. Hospital staff aren't supposed to discuss patient information publicly. But the post is out there, people are seeing it, and it's adding to the anxiety. Let me talk about rabies for a minute, because I think understanding what we might be dealing with helps put this in perspective. Rabies is a viral infection that affects the nervous system. It's usually transmitted through the bite of an infected animal. The virus travels along nerve pathways to the brain, which is why there's a window of time after exposure when treatment can still be effective. Once it reaches the brain and symptoms appear, it's almost always fatal. The symptoms of rabies include fever, headache, confusion, and importantly, agitation and aggressive behavior. The reason rabid animals are so dangerous isn't just because they carry the virus, but because the virus makes them abnormally aggressive, more likely to bite and spread the infection. Now, if Neurogen was working with a modified rabies virus, and if something went wrong with that modification, it's at least theoretically possible that trial participants could be experiencing some kind of adverse reaction. The agitation and violence the hospital nurse described could fit with a rabies-like infection, but that's speculation on my part. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a virologist. What concerns me is the speed. Traditional rabies has an incubation period of weeks to months. If people are showing symptoms this quickly, within hours or days, that would suggest whatever this is, it's not behaving like normal rabies. It's been accelerated somehow. Emily's motioning to me. She's got something urgent. Hold on. All right, Emily just showed me a breaking alert from the police department. They're advising all residents to stay indoors until further notice. This is not a mandatory order, they're emphasizing that, but they're strongly recommending people remain in their homes. They're also asking businesses in the downtown area to consider closing for the day. That's a significant escalation. Stay indoors until further notice. That's not language you use for a contained incident. The traffic cameras are showing something interesting. People are leaving downtown, not coming in. The morning rush has reversed. The southbound lanes into the city are nearly empty, while the northbound lanes out of the city are backing up. Word is spreading, people are deciding not to take chances. I don't blame them. If the authorities are telling you to stay home, you stay home. Let me read you the full police statement. Quote, the police department is investigating an ongoing situation that began overnight. While there is no confirmed threat to the general public at this time, we are advising residents to remain indoors as a precautionary measure. Avoid the downtown area, particularly the vicinity of Industrial Boulevard. We are working with city, state, and federal partners to assess the situation and will provide updates as they become available. Do not approach or attempt to assist anyone displaying erratic or aggressive behavior. Instead, call 911 immediately. End quote. That last part, do not approach anyone displaying erratic or aggressive behavior. That's oddly specific, isn't it? Emily's showing me the scanner feed. Multiple 911 calls coming in from different parts of the city. Domestic disturbances, reports of people acting strangely, at least 2 calls about attacks. Officers are responding, but they're spread thin. I'm trying to piece together a timeline here. The incident at Neurogen happened around 3 a.m. First hospital admission started around 4 or 5 a.m. Now at 7:15 a.m. we're seeing what appears to be multiple incidents across the city. If these are all connected, if these are all people who were exposed to something from Neurogen, that's a very rapid spread. How many people participated in that trial? I'm trying to remember from the news coverage when they first announced it. Emily, can you look that up? How many trial participants did Neurogen enroll? She's checking now. In the meantime, let me give you some practical information. If you're listening to this and you're at home, good. Stay there. Lock your doors. If you have bottled water, fill any additional containers you have. Same with non-perishable food. I'm not saying we're headed for some kind of long-term crisis, but if the authorities are asking people to stay indoors, it's smart to be prepared for at least a day or 2 of staying put. If you're in your car right now, get home or get somewhere safe. Don't stop unnecessarily. If you see someone acting strangely or aggressively, do not engage. Call 911 and keep moving. If you're at work in the downtown area, talk to your supervisor about leaving. The police have suggested businesses close for the day. Your safety is more important than whatever work needs to get done. Emily found the information. Neurogen enrolled 43 participants in phase 2 of their trial 43 people who were injected with this modified rabies virus. If all of them are experiencing adverse reactions, and if the nurse's description is accurate, that's 43 highly agitated, possibly violent individuals somewhere in the city. But it might be worse than that. If the virus is transmissible, if it's spreading from those initial participants to others, the numbers could be growing exponentially. That's the nightmare scenario. That's what would explain the rapid escalation of incidents across the city. I really hope I'm wrong about that. Let's go to traffic one more time. Interstate northbound is a parking lot now. Southbound is almost empty. Downtown streets are clearing out fast. The construction on 5th and Main is the least of anyone's worries right now. It's 7:28. Let me get you caught up on everything we know, separating confirmed facts from speculation. Confirmed incident at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals overnight. Multiple people hospitalized with similar symptoms. Police perimeter established and expanded, police advising people to stay indoors. Multiple 911 calls across the city. Emergency meeting at City Hall happening now. Speculation, this is related to Neurogen's rabies trial. The modified virus has caused severe adverse reactions. The virus may be transmissible between people. We could be looking at the start of an outbreak. I want to be clear that the speculation could be completely wrong. We don't have official confirmation of any connection between the Neurogen trial and the incidents this morning, but the circumstantial evidence is piling up. Emily just told me something that made my stomach drop. One of the 911 calls she's hearing on the scanner was from a woman saying her husband came home from his overnight shift at Neurogen acting strangely. He attacked her, she locked herself in the bathroom and called for help. Police are en route to that address now. If that's true, if a Neurogen employee went home and attacked his wife, that confirms human-to-human transmission. That confirms this is spreading beyond the initial trial participant. I need to take a breath here. Let me grab some water. All right, I'm back. Emily's looking at me like she's worried I'm about to lose it. I'm not. I'm okay. But I'll admit, this is not what I expected when I came into work this morning. You trust me, right? You've been listening to this show for years, some of you. You know I don't exaggerate, I don't sensationalize. So when I tell you that I'm genuinely concerned about what's developing here, I need you to take that seriously. The pieces are all there. An unregulated or loosely regulated pharmaceutical company experimenting with one of the deadliest viruses known to science. Something goes catastrophically wrong. The modified virus doesn't just cause an adverse reaction, it fundamentally changes behavior, makes people violent, and it spreads person to person exponentially. That's the scenario we might be facing. I say might because we still don't have official confirmation, but all the signs point in that direction. What does that mean for you, for all of us? It means we need to take the police advisory seriously. Stay indoors. Avoid contact with anyone acting strangely. Stock up on supplies if you can do so safely, and pray that the authorities can contain this before it gets worse. I'm going to stay on the air as long as I can. As long as we have power, as long as the transmitter keeps running, I'll be here providing updates. That's my job. That's what I signed up for. Emily's pouring me another cup of coffee. Too strong, like always, but I appreciate it. Let's take a break. When we come back, I'll try to get someone on the line from the city, see if we can get any official comment. This is 7:45 now. I've been trying to reach someone at the mayor's office for the last 15 minutes. No answer. Emily tried the police department's public information office. No answer. Fire department, health department, same story. Either everyone's in that emergency meeting or they're too busy to deal with media inquiries right now. The silence from official channels is deafening. In a situation like this, you'd expect authorities to be flooding the airwaves with information, reassurances, instructions. Instead, we've got one vague statement from the police and nothing else. That tells me they're either overwhelmed or they don't know what to say yet, or both. Social media is exploding. The hashtag Neurogen is trending locally, starting to pick up nationally. People posting videos from around the city, shaky footage of police activity, someone running through a parking lot. I can't verify what any of these videos actually show, but the volume of posts suggests this is widespread. One video that's getting a lot of attention shows what appears to be someone attacking a parked car, smashing the windows with their bare hands. The person filming is inside a building looking down at a street. You can hear them saying, "Oh my God," over and over. The person attacking the car is moving erratically, jerking motions, and they don't seem to notice or care that they're cutting their hands on the glass. If that's real, if that's someone infected with whatever this is, it's disturbing on multiple levels. The complete disregard for self-preservation, the single-minded violence, it's not normal human behavior. Emily just showed me a post from the hospital. Official statement from City Hospital posted on their social media 10 minutes ago. Let me read it. Quote, City Hospital is experiencing higher than normal emergency department volume. We ask that only individuals with life-threatening emergencies come to the ED at this time. For non-urgent medical needs, please contact your primary care physician or visit an urgent care facility. We appreciate your patience and understanding. End quote. Higher than normal volume. That's putting it mildly if the reports we're hearing are accurate. I'm checking news websites now. Local news stations are starting to cover this more heavily. Channel 7 has a reporter live from near the Neurogen perimeter. I'm watching on my laptop here. The reporter is saying the police aren't allowing anyone near the facility, won't answer questions about what happened. She's describing a very tense scene, lots of officers in tactical gear, which is unusual for what was initially described as an incident at a research facility. Channel 4 is taking a different angle. They've got someone interviewing a virologist from the state university. The virologist is being very careful with his words, saying he doesn't have enough information to comment on the specific Neurogen situation, but he's willing to talk about rabies in general. He's explaining that rabies is neurotropic, meaning it targets the nervous system, and that it's one of the oldest known viruses to affect mammals. He says modifying such a virus for therapeutic purposes is controversial in the scientific community because of the inherent risks. The reporter asks him directly, is it possible for a modified rabies virus to cause the kind of aggressive behavior people are reporting? The virologist pauses, chooses his words carefully, and says that rabies naturally causes aggression and altered behavior. So yes, theoretically, a modified version could potentially cause similar or even exaggerated symptoms. But he emphasizes that he's speaking hypothetically. It's interesting, watching these news outlets try to cover this in real time. They're all dancing around the central question, are we dealing with an outbreak of a modified rabies virus that makes people violent and spreads rapidly? Nobody wants to say it directly without confirmation, but that's what everyone's thinking. Emily's motioning to me again. She's got the scanner turned up. There's a call about a situation at Roosevelt Elementary School. A teacher reportedly attacked another staff member. The school is going into lockdown. Police and ambulances are being dispatched. Roosevelt Elementary, that's on the east side of the city, nowhere near Neurogen. If this is connected, and that's a big if, but if it is, the infection has spread far beyond the initial site. How many incidents are we up to now? Emily's been keeping account based on scanner traffic. She's got at least 15 separate calls across the city in the last 2 hours. 15 that we know about. How many more that people haven't reported or that are in progress or that happened before anyone realized something was wrong? The mathematics of disease spread is terrifying when you really think about it. One person infects 2 or 3 others. Those 2 or 3 each infect 2 or 3 more. Within a few cycles, you've got exponential growth. If this thing has an incubation period of just a few hours, and if it's as transmissible as it seems, the numbers could be in the hundreds already. I'm looking at a map of the city Emily just put up on the wall. She's been marking the locations of reported incidents with red pins. They're scattered throughout the metropolitan area, no obvious pattern, no cluster around a single point. That suggests multiple initial sources, which fits with the theory that the 43 trial participants spread out from Neurogen and carried the infection to different parts of the city. Temperature outside is up to 47 degrees. The sun is shining. Birds are probably chirping. Nature doesn't care about human crises. The world keeps turning regardless. I keep thinking about everyone out there who doesn't know what's happening yet. People who left for work early before the news started breaking. People who don't listen to the radio or check social media. They're going about their Monday morning completely unaware that the city is falling apart around them. That's always the strange thing about disasters, isn't it? They don't happen all at once, everywhere simultaneously. They unfold gradually, touching some people immediately and others only later. Right now, there are probably people sitting in coffee shops, dropping their kids off at school, commuting to jobs, living in a different reality than the one we're experiencing here. But that gap is closing. As word spreads, as more incidents occur, everyone will be pulled into this, whether they want to be or not. Emily just got a text from her sister who lives across town. She's asking if Emily's hearing the same rumors she is, asking if it's safe to take her kids to school. Emily's telling her to keep the kids home, stay inside, wait for official word. Good advice. I should call my wife. She left for her shift at the library before I came to the station this morning. Let me see if I can reach her. Phone's ringing. Come on, pick up. She's not answering. Probably has her phone in her purse, not paying attention. The library doesn't open until 9, so she's likely in the back doing prep work, shelving books, that kind of thing. I'll try again in a few minutes. Let me check the news wires again. Okay, this is interesting. Reuters has just posted a brief item about a developing situation at a pharmaceutical facility in our city. That's the first national coverage I've seen. The piece doesn't have many details, just acknowledges that local authorities are investigating an incident. But the fact that Reuters is covering it at all means this is on the radar of national news organizations now. Won't be long before we've got news helicopters overhead, satellite trucks parked outside City Hall, national correspondents reporting live from our streets. I've seen it happen before with big stories. Once the national media descends, the whole character of the coverage changes. Everything gets amplified, sensationalized, turned into a spectacle. Not that this isn't already a spectacle. 8 o'clock now. Let me give you an update on everything we're tracking. The police are advising everyone to stay indoors. Multiple incidents of erratic and violent behavior reported across the city. City Hospital is overwhelmed with emergency cases. An emergency meeting is underway at City Hall. Neurogen Pharmaceuticals has acknowledged an incident but provided no details. Traffic out of the city is severely congested. Schools are beginning to implement lockdowns. National media is starting to pick up the story. And still, we have no official explanation of what's actually happening. The longer this silence continues, the more people will panic. Human beings can handle a lot if you give them information, tell them what's going on, what to expect. It's the uncertainty that breeds fear. I'm going to try to get someone from the city on the line again. Maybe the communications director, maybe someone from the health department. Somebody needs to talk to the public. Emily's dialing now. It's ringing. 3 rings, 4, 5, voicemail. Of course, this is absurd. It's 8 o'clock on a Monday morning during an escalating crisis, and nobody from the city government is available to make a statement. Either they're all still in that meeting, or the situation is worse than we realize and they're too busy managing it to worry about public communication. Neither option is comforting. Social media is filling in the vacuum, of course. Rumors, speculation, theories, some of it might be accurate. Most of it probably isn't. I'm seeing posts claiming this is a terrorist attack, a biological weapon, a government experiment gone wrong. One particularly creative theory suggests it's connected to 5G cell towers, which is nonsense, but people are sharing it anyway. The truth is probably simpler and scarier than any of these theories. A pharmaceutical company was working with a dangerous virus. They didn't have adequate safety measures or oversight. Something went catastrophically wrong. Now we're all dealing with the consequences of their negligence. If that's what happened, and I emphasize if, there will be hell to pay. Criminal investigations, lawsuits, congressional hearings, but that's all future tense. Right now, the only thing that matters is stopping the spread and keeping people safe. Emily's showing me another video from social media. This one was posted a few minutes ago by someone in an apartment building downtown. The person is filming out their window down to the street below. There are 3 people in the frame moving erratically, running into parked cars, falling down and getting back up. One of them is attacking a mailbox, just hitting it over and over with their fist. The person filming is narrating, their voice shaking. They're saying they don't know what's wrong with these people, saying it's like they're on drugs or something. Then one of the people on the street looks up at the camera and the person filming gasps and drops the phone. The video cuts off. The comments on that video are chaotic. People arguing about whether it's real or fake, whether it's drugs or something else, sharing their own experiences and sightings. The word zombie appears multiple times, which is inflammatory and unhelpful. But I understand why people are reaching for that comparison. The behavior being described doesn't fit any normal category of human behavior. Let me be clear about something. I don't believe in zombies in the supernatural sense. The Walking Dead, the undead, that's fiction. But if we're talking about living people whose brain function has been severely altered by a virus, causing them to lose higher cognitive abilities and act purely on aggression and instinct, that's not supernatural. That's neurology. That's what rabies does in its end stages, actually. It destroys the parts of the brain responsible for fear, restraint, rational thought. So no, not zombies, but infected people behaving in ways that superficially resemble what we think of as zombies in fiction. Distinction without much practical difference, I suppose. The question that matters is whether they're still alive, still human in any meaningful sense, and whether there's any treatment or cure. If Neurogen created this modified virus, presumably they have research on how it works, how to counteract it, but getting that information and developing an effective treatment takes time. Time we might not have if this is spreading as fast as it appears. Emily just handed me a note with a phone number. She says it's her friend who works in the mayor's office. Maybe she'll have some information. I'm dialing. It's ringing. A woman's voice answers. Emily's friend, I'm assuming. I explain who I am, why I'm calling. Ask if there's any official statement forthcoming from the mayor's office. She says she can't comment officially, but she can confirm the mayor is meeting with emergency management right now. She says the situation is serious and evolving rapidly. She says an official statement should be coming within the hour. I ask her directly, is this related to Neurogen's rabies trial? She pauses, then says she really can't say, but she suggests I keep that line of inquiry active. I thank her and hang up. So there it is. As close to confirmation as we're likely to get until the official statement. This is related to the rabies trial. The modified virus has escaped containment. We're in the early stages of an outbreak. An official statement within the hour, she said. It's 8:15 now. So by 9:15 at the latest, we should have the city's official position on what's happening and what people should do. A lot can happen in an hour. Emily's showing me the scanner again. Fire department is being dispatched to multiple locations. Structure fires, car fires. Whether these are related to the infection or just coincidental, I don't know. But firefighters going into potentially compromised areas, that's dangerous. I hope they've been briefed on what they might encounter. I'm trying my wife again, still no answer. Starting to worry now. The library is only a couple miles from here, but that might as well be across the country given what's happening on the street. Emily, can you pull up the traffic cameras near the library? Let's see if the area looks clear. She's pulling it up now. The streets near the library look quiet. A few cars, but not much activity. No obvious signs of trouble. That's good. Hopefully that means she's inside, safe. Just not hearing her phone. I'll try texting her. Sometimes she responds to texts faster than calls. Message sent. Asking her to confirm she's okay. Stay inside the library until I can get more information. The 3 dots appear, then disappear. She's typing. The dots appear again. Her response comes through. She says she's fine, heard about something happening downtown, but the library is quiet. She asks if she should leave, try to come home. I'm typing back, telling her to stay put. Safer to be inside a building than out on the streets right now. She responds with okay and a heart emoji. At least I know she's safe for the moment. That's a small comfort in the midst of all this. Let me talk about what you should be doing right now if you're listening to this. First, if you're at home, stay there. Lock your doors and windows. Don't open the door for anyone unless you absolutely know who they are and that they're not infected. I know that sounds paranoid, but better paranoid and safe than trusting and dead. Second, gather supplies, water, food, medications, flashlights, batteries. If the power goes out, if water service is interrupted, you want to be prepared. Fill your bathtub with water if you can. That gives you a reserve for washing and toilet flushing even if the taps stop working. Third, stay informed. Keep your radio on, keep your phone charged. Monitor official sources for updates. Don't rely solely on social media for information, but don't ignore it either. The truth is probably somewhere between the official statements and the crowdsourced reports. Fourth, have a plan. If you need to leave your home, where will you go? What's your route? Do you have family or friends outside the city you can reach? Think through these scenarios now before you're forced to make decisions in a panic. Fifth, and this is important, don't be a hero. If you see someone who's infected, someone acting violently or erratically, do not try to help them. Do not approach them. Call 911 and stay away. I know that goes against every instinct of decency and compassion, but you can't help anyone if you get infected yourself. These are basic survival guidelines. I never thought I'd be giving survival guidelines on a Monday morning radio show, but here we are. Emily's got her laptop open, monitoring multiple news sites and social media feeds simultaneously. She's better at multitasking than I am. She's also got the scanner going in the background, so we're getting real-time updates on emergency responses across the city. The picture that's emerging is chaotic but not yet catastrophic. The infection seems to be concentrated in certain areas with many neighborhoods still unaffected. Police and emergency services are still operational, still responding to calls. The infrastructure is holding for now, but the trend is concerning. The number of incidents is increasing, not decreasing. The geographic spread is widening. And we're only about 5 hours into this based on when the initial incident at Neurogen occurred. What will the situation look like in another 5 hours? What about 12 hours? 20? I don't have answers to those questions, and I'm not sure anyone does. 8:30 now. Still waiting for that official statement from the mayor's office. Let me check the news channels again. Channel 7 is doing continuous coverage now. They've abandoned their regular programming entirely. Their reporter is still at the Neurogen perimeter, but they've also got reporters at City Hall, at the hospital, at one of the neighborhoods where an incident occurred. The reporter at City Hall is saying she's hearing the mayor might declare a state of emergency. That would give the city broader powers to enforce curfews, commandeer resources, request state and federal assistance. It would also officially acknowledge that this is beyond the scope of normal operations. Channel 4 has their virologist back on. He's being asked more pointed questions now. The anchor asks him, if a modified rabies virus were to spread from person to person, how quickly could an outbreak escalate? The virologist says it depends on multiple factors: transmission method, incubation period, population density. But he says that respiratory or fluid-based transmission in an urban environment could lead to exponential growth within hours or days rather than weeks. The anchor follows up, what would be the signs that someone is infected? The virologist lists symptoms: fever, headache, confusion, agitation, aggressive behavior, hydrophobia, which is fear of water, and aerophobia, which is fear of air or draft. He notes that in the later stages, infected individuals lose the ability to swallow and produce excessive saliva, which is why rabid animals foam at the mouth. It's a clinical description, but it matches some of what we're seeing reported. The aggressive behavior, the erratic movements, the apparent loss of higher cognitive function. Emily's telling me the scanner is going crazy. Multiple calls coming in faster than dispatchers can handle them. Attacks, disturbances, fires, traffic accidents. The system is getting overwhelmed. This is what cascading failure looks like. As the infection spreads, more people need emergency services. As more calls come in, response times increase. As response times increase, more people are left without help. As more people are left without help, the situation deteriorates further, and around it goes. At some point, if this continues, emergency services will collapse entirely, dispatch centers will be abandoned, ambulances will stop running, police will retreat to defensive positions. We're not there yet, but you can see the trajectory. I need to stay calm. Panicking helps no one. Let's talk about something else for a minute. Let me tell you about this studio. I've been broadcasting from this room for over a decade. It's not fancy, old equipment, worn carpet, water stains on the ceiling tiles, but it's home in a way. I've sat in this chair through elections, natural disasters, local tragedies and triumphs. I've interviewed politicians and poets, played music for people during their morning commute, taken calls from listeners who just needed someone to talk to. Radio is an intimate medium. You can't see me, I can't see you, but we're connected through these airwaves. My voice in your car, your kitchen, your bedroom. In times of crisis, that connection becomes even more important. You're looking for reassurance, for information, for a familiar voice telling you things will be okay. I wish I could tell you things will be okay. I really do. But I don't know if that's true. What I can tell you is that I'll be here, broadcasting as long as possible, giving you every piece of information I have. That's not much, but it's what I can offer. Emily just showed me a post from someone claiming to work at Neurogen. The post is anonymous, created on a throwaway account, so impossible to verify, but it provides some details that seem plausible. According to this person, the trial participants started showing symptoms around midnight last night: fever, confusion, agitation. The medical staff at Neurogen tried to treat them, contain them, but the symptoms progressed faster than anyone expected. Within an hour or two, several participants had become violent. They attacked staff members, broke out of the facility. The post claims that Neurogen's safety protocols were inadequate from the start. The person says they raised concerns during the planning phase of the trial, but those concerns were dismissed by management. The company was under pressure to show results to prove their approach worked, and that pressure led to shortcuts and oversight. If true, this is damning. It suggests that what's happening now was not an unforeseeable accident, but the result of corporate negligence. People will want accountability for that. But again, that's future tense. Doesn't help us right now. The post ends with an apology. The person says they're sorry, that they should have done more to stop the trial, that they'll have to live with the guilt of what's happened. Then they say they're getting out of the city while they still can. I wonder if they made it. 8:45 now? 15 minutes until we're supposed to get that official statement from the mayor. Traffic cameras are showing highways leading out of the city are completely gridlocked. People are fleeing or trying to. But with everyone having the same idea, the roads have turned into parking lots. I'm seeing images of cars abandoned on shoulders, people walking along the highway carrying suitcases and backpacks. It's like watching a historical disaster unfold. The evacuation of a city. You read about this in books, see it in movies, but witnessing it in real time in your own city is surreal. Emily's sister texted her again. She's asking if they should try to leave the city. Emily's not sure how to answer. On one hand, getting away from the infection zones makes sense. On the other hand, the roads are impassable, and being stuck in traffic surrounded by potential carriers is dangerous. Emily texts back suggesting her sister stay home for now, wait to see what the official guidance is. If the city orders an evacuation, there will hopefully be organized routes, possibly military or police escort. Trying to leave independently right now is risky. Her sister responds asking if Emily's going to leave. Emily glances at me, then types back that she's staying at the station to help with the broadcast. She doesn't mention that she's probably as scared as everyone else. I appreciate Emily more than she knows. She could have left when this started getting serious, could have gone home to her family, but she's here, helping me keep this station running, keeping information flowing to everyone listening. That takes courage. I should tell her that. After this is over, if we both make it through, I should tell her she's one of the good ones. Let me check on something. The station's generator. If the power goes out, we need to make sure we can keep broadcasting. Emily, can you check the fuel level on the generator? I want to know how long we can run if we lose grid power. She's heading down to check now. While she's gone, let me talk about power infrastructure. Cities run on electricity. Everything from traffic lights to hospital equipment to water pumping stations requires power. If the grid goes down, either from physical damage or because workers abandon their posts, modern civilization stops functioning pretty quickly. We've got a generator here at the station, but it's not industrial grade. It'll run the transmitter and essential equipment for maybe 24 to 48 hours on a full tank. After that, unless we can refuel, we go dark. I don't know what the power situation is across the city right now. I haven't heard reports of widespread outages, but it's something to be prepared for. Emily's back. She says the generator is at about 70%. We should be good for a while, but she's going to put together a plan for refueling if necessary. There's a gas station 2 blocks from here. If the roads are still passable, we might be able to make a supply run. Good thinking. 8:55 now. 5 minutes until the mayor's statement is supposed to drop. I'm refreshing the city's official website. Nothing yet. Emily's got the TV news on. Channel 7 is saying they're expecting a statement momentarily. Their reporter at City Hall is standing by. 4 minutes. Social media is buzzing with anticipation. Everyone's waiting to hear what the official line is going to be. Will they confirm it's an outbreak? Will they order an evacuation? Will they tell us how bad it really is? 3 minutes. I'm watching the city website, the police department's social media, the mayor's Twitter account, waiting for something to appear. 2 minutes. Emily's gripping the edge of the desk. She's nervous. So am I, though I'm trying not to show it. 1 minute. Nothing yet. 9 o'clock. Still nothing. Come on, you said within an hour. It's been an hour. 9:01. Channel 7's reporter is saying she's hearing the statement might be delayed. No explanation why. 9:02. This is frustrating. People are waiting. People need information. And the city can't even meet its own timeline for a simple statement. 9:03. Emily's phone buzzes. It's her friend from the mayor's office. She's reading the text. Her expression falls. She shows me the phone. The text says, "Statement delayed. Situation worse than expected." They're arguing about what to tell people. Great. Just great. While city officials argue about messaging, people are dying in the streets. 9:05. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't. The failure of leadership we're witnessing right now is inexcusable. I understand that this is an unprecedented situation, that no one has a playbook for handling a viral outbreak of modified rabies or whatever this is. But the absolute minimum you owe the public is timely, accurate information, not vague statements, not delays while you argue about optics. People can handle the truth. What they can't handle is being lied to or left in the dark. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you everything I know, everything I suspect, and everything I've pieced together from various sources. You can decide for yourself what to believe and what to do. Based on all available evidence, Neurogen Pharmaceuticals was conducting trials of a modified rabies virus intended for therapeutic use. Something went wrong. The virus either mutated unexpectedly or was more dangerous than they realized. Trial participants became infected and exhibited extreme aggression and violence. They spread the infection to others, either through bites, bodily fluids, or some other transmission method. The infection is now loose in the city with dozens or possibly hundreds of cases. Emergency services are overwhelmed. Infrastructure is beginning to fail. The city government is struggling to respond effectively. That's the situation as I understand it. I could be wrong about specific details, but I believe that's the broad outline of what's happening. Now, what should you do with that information? If you're at home, stay there. If you're not, get somewhere safe immediately. Avoid other people as much as possible. Stock up on supplies, monitor official channels for updates, but don't wait for permission to protect yourself and your family. If you have the means to leave the city and you can do so safely, consider it. But be aware that the roads are congested and potentially dangerous. Weigh the risks carefully. If you encounter someone who appears infected, aggressive behavior, erratic movements, apparent loss of higher cognitive function, stay away from them. Do not try to help. Do not approach. Get to safety and call 911 if lines are still operational. These are my recommendations based on the best information I have. I'm not an official authority, I'm just a radio host trying to help people navigate a nightmare. 9:15 now. Still no statement from the mayor. Emily's showing me the news. Channel 4 is reporting that state police have been mobilized. The governor is apparently being briefed on the situation. That suggests the city has officially requested state assistance, which is good. More resources, more personnel, more expertise. But it also suggests the city has acknowledged it can't handle this alone. Channel 7's reporter at the hospital is describing scenes of chaos. People flooding the emergency room, some with injuries from attacks, some showing early symptoms of infection. The hospital is trying to screen everyone, isolate suspected cases, but they're overwhelmed. The reporter says hospital security is turning away people who aren't in critical condition, telling them to go home and call their doctors. That's a recipe for disaster. Infected people being sent home, back into the community, spreading the virus further. The reporter interviews a doctor who looks exhausted, still wearing his scrubs. He says they don't have enough isolation rooms, don't have enough staff, don't have any treatment protocol for this infection. They're doing their best with what they have, but it's not enough. The interview is cut short when there's some kind of commotion in the background. The camera swings wildly, catches a glimpse of security guards running towards something, then cuts back to the studio. The anchor looks shaken. She says they're going to take a short break and will return with more coverage. Emily and I exchange glances. That was ominous. 9:25. My phone is buzzing, multiple texts coming in, friends, family members asking if I know what's going on, asking for advice. I can't respond to all of them individually. I text back a group message, stay home, stay safe, listen to 10. Emily's phone is buzzing too. She's getting similar messages. The whole city is looking for answers, for guidance, for reassurance. And still the mayor says nothing. 9:30. Okay, something's happening. The city's website just updated. There's a banner across the top. Statement from the mayor's office. I'm clicking through. Here it is. Let me read this to you. Quote, to the residents of our city, we are facing an unprecedented public health emergency. Early this morning, an incident occurred at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals involving participants in a clinical trial. The nature of this incident is still under investigation, but we can confirm that it has resulted in a communicable infection that affects behavior and poses a significant risk to public safety. I am hereby declaring a state of emergency for the city and surrounding metropolitan area. Effective immediately, all residents are ordered to shelter in place. Do not leave your homes except for life-threatening emergencies. Avoid all contact with individuals exhibiting aggressive or erratic behavior. We are working closely with state and federal authorities to contain this outbreak. Medical teams are developing treatment protocols. Law enforcement and emergency services are operating at full capacity to ensure public safety. Additional information and instructions will be provided through official channels as the situation develops. Please remain calm, follow all official guidance, and look out for one another. Mayor Richard Garrett. End quote. There it is. Official confirmation. An outbreak. Shelter-in-place order. State of emergency. It's real. This is really happening. Emily looks at me. I look at her. For a moment, we just sit in silence. Then I take a breath and continue. All right, you heard the mayor. Shelter in place. That means stay home, lock your doors, wait for further instructions. This is now an official order, not just a recommendation. If you're listening to this and you're not at home, get there immediately. If you can't get home, get somewhere safe. A friend's house, a church, a store, anywhere that you can secure. The mayor mentioned that medical teams are developing treatment protocols. That's a positive sign. It suggests there's hope for a cure or at least a way to manage symptoms. But developing treatments takes time, and we don't know how much time we have. Law enforcement and emergency services are operating at full capacity, he said. That's good, but based on what we've been hearing on the scanner, full capacity might not be enough. Emily's pulling up the scanner feed again. The volume of calls has not decreased. If anything, it's gotten worse in the last 30 minutes. Attacks in multiple neighborhoods, fires spreading, car accidents. And now I'm hearing something new. Reports of officers requesting backup, saying they're being swarmed. Swarmed. That's the word being used. If infected individuals are grouping together, moving as a mass, that's extremely dangerous. It suggests some level of pack behavior which is not typical of rabies but could be a feature of this modified virus. 9:45. I'm checking social media again. The mayor's statement is being shared widely, but the reaction is mixed. Some people are thanking him for finally providing information. Others are angry that it took so long or that the statement doesn't provide enough detail. One comment that stands out: too little, too late. We needed this information hours ago. How many people are infected now because of the delay? It's a fair criticism. There are also reports from people saying they can't shelter in place because they're not home, or because their homes aren't safe. A woman posts that she's in her car with her 2 kids, trying to get to her mother's house across town, but the roads are blocked. She's asking what she should do. Others respond with suggestions. Find a store or gas station, lock yourself in the bathroom, wait it out. Someone else says don't go to public places, too many people, higher risk of infection. Another person says the car is relatively safe as long as she keeps moving and doesn't let anyone approach. It's crowdsourced survival advice. In the absence of official guidance, people are helping each other as best they can. I should do the same. If you're in a situation where you can't get home, here's what I suggest. Find a secure location, ideally somewhere with solid doors and windows, minimal entry points. If you're in a car, keep driving if possible. If you have to stop, park in an area with good visibility, lock all doors, stay inside the vehicle. If you're with other people, establish trust carefully. In a crisis, people can be helpful or dangerous. Use your judgment. Don't assume everyone has good intentions, but also don't isolate yourself completely. There's safety in numbers if those numbers are trustworthy. Conserve your resources: food, water, phone battery. You don't know how long you'll need to wait before help arrives or before it's safe to move again. And stay informed. Keep your radio on. Monitor official channels. Information is power in situations like this. 10 o'clock now. I've been on the air for 4 hours. Feels like a lifetime. Emily hands me another cup of coffee. I'm going to be wired for days at this rate, but I need to stay alert. Let me give you an update on what we're seeing across the city. Based on scanner traffic, news reports, and social media, the infection has spread to every major neighborhood. The downtown area where Neurogen is located is the worst hit, but the suburbs and outlying areas are seeing cases too. Hospitals are beyond capacity. City Hospital has reportedly closed its emergency room to new patients except for the most critical cases. Other hospitals are following suit. If you're injured or sick, you're on your own unless you're literally dying. Police and fire departments are stretched impossibly thin. Response times are measured in hours. If responses come at all, there are reports of entire precincts going dark. Officers abandoning their posts. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's a sign that the system is collapsing. The power grid is still operational, which is good, but I don't know how long that will last. Power plants require workers. Workers require safety. If the infection spreads to critical infrastructure employees, or if those employees decide to flee or shelter with their families, we could see rolling blackouts or complete grid failure. Same with water and sewer systems. Same with telecommunications. All of it depends on people showing up to work, and in a situation like this, you can't blame people for prioritizing their own survival. Emily's monitoring fuel levels in the generator. She estimates we have maybe 36 hours of broadcast time if we lose grid power. After that, we'll need to refuel or go silent. I'm not ready to go silent. Not yet. Let me talk about the science of what we're dealing with to the extent that I understand it. Rabies is a lyssavirus. It primarily spreads through the saliva of infected animals, usually via bites. Once it enters the body, it travels along nerve pathways to the brain. The incubation period can range from weeks to months, depending on the location of the bite and the viral load. Once the virus reaches the brain, it causes encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. This leads to the classic symptoms: confusion, agitation, hallucinations, and importantly, hydrophobia and aerophobia. Infected individuals become terrified of water and air, unable to swallow, producing excessive saliva. In the final stages, the infected person slips into a coma and dies. The mortality rate for symptomatic rabies is nearly 100%. Now, Neurogen was working with a modified version of this virus. Based on what we're seeing, it appears they accelerated the timeline. Instead of weeks or months, symptoms appear within hours. They also seem to have altered the behavioral effects. Instead of fear and paralysis, infected individuals exhibit extreme aggression. If the virus is transmissible through bites or bodily fluids, and if the incubation period is just a few hours, you can see how quickly an outbreak could spiral out of control. The question is whether the modifications Neurogen made were intentional or accidental. Did they set out to create a fast-acting, aggression-inducing virus? That seems unlikely. More probably, they were trying to create a therapeutic virus, and something went wrong in the modification process. An unintended mutation, an unexpected interaction with human biology. Either way, the result is the same. We're dealing with a weaponized version of one of the deadliest viruses known to science. 10:20 now. Emily just showed me a video that's going viral. It was posted about 15 minutes ago by someone in the downtown area. The footage is shaky, clearly shot on a phone, but it shows a group of infected individuals moving through a street. There must be 20 or 30 of them, all exhibiting the same erratic movements, the same aggressive posture. They're moving together like a pack, and they're fast. Not running exactly, but a kind of loping, irregular gait that covers ground quickly. The person filming is on the second or third floor of a building looking down. They're whispering, oh God, over and over. The infected group moves past the building, disappears around a corner. The video ends. The comments are terrified. People are sharing the video, tagging news organizations, tagging government officials, demanding answers, demanding help. There's a term that keeps appearing in the comments, horde. People are calling these groups hordes. It's an apt description, a mass of infected individuals moving with a single purpose, overwhelming anything in their path. If the infection has progressed to the point where we're seeing horde behavior, the situation is far worse than the mayor's statement suggested. Emily's on the phone with her sister again. I can hear one side of the conversation. Emily's telling her to stay inside, not to open the door for anyone. Her sister is asking about their parents, who live on the other side of the city. Emily says she'll try to reach them, but they need to focus on their own safety first. It's heartbreaking listening to her. The fear in her voice, the helplessness. But she's holding it together, she's strong. I try my wife again. She answers this time, thank God. I ask if she's still at the library. She says yes, she's in the back office with 2 coworkers. They've locked all the doors, pulled the blind. She says they can hear things outside, people shouting, sirens, but they haven't seen anyone infected yet. I tell her to stay where she is, don't try to leave. I tell her I love her. She says she loves me too, asks me to be safe. I promise I will, though I'm not sure that's a promise I can keep. We hang up. I sit for a moment, just breathing. Emily looks at me. You okay? Yeah, I say. Just needed to hear her voice. She nods. I get it. We go back to work. 10:35. News update. The governor has just issued a statewide emergency declaration. Not just our city, the entire state. He's activating the National Guard, deploying them to affected areas. That's significant. Military support could make a real difference in containing the outbreak. The governor's statement mentions that the federal government has been notified and that CDC teams are en route. Again, good news in theory, but it takes time for these resources to mobilize and deploy. Hours at minimum, possibly days. Do we have days? I'm not sure we have hours. Emily's showing me updates from the police scanner. National Guard units are beginning to arrive at staging areas around the city. They're setting up perimeter checkpoints on major roads, establishing a containment zone. That's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it might prevent the infection from spreading to neighboring cities and towns. On the other hand, it means we're trapped here. Anyone inside the perimeter is on their own until the Guard can establish control. I'm hearing reports that some people are trying to break through the checkpoints to escape the containment zone. The Guard is turning them back using force if necessary. There are videos online showing confrontations between civilians and soldiers. It's ugly, but necessary, probably. If even one infected person escapes the perimeter, they could start a new outbreak in an unaffected area. 10:50. I need to use the bathroom. Emily's going to watch the boards while I step away for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Splashed some water on my face, tried to clear my head. Emily says nothing major happened while I was gone, which is a relief. Let me check the traffic cameras one more time. The highways are still jammed, but there's less movement now. Some cars have been abandoned. I can see people walking along the shoulders, carrying bags, heading away from the city on foot. Where are they going? There are Guard checkpoints in every direction. They'll be turned back, but I suppose the instinct to flee is strong even when there's nowhere to flee to. 11 o'clock. 5 hours since the first reports of trouble at Neurogen. It feels like a week. Let me try to summarize where we are. The infection has spread throughout the city, hundreds, possibly thousands of cases, Emergency services are overwhelmed. Hospitals are closed to new patients. The mayor has ordered shelter in place. The governor has activated the National Guard and established a containment perimeter. Federal resources are on the way but haven't arrived yet. The infected are exhibiting pack behavior, moving in groups, overwhelming defenders. There's no known treatment or cure. The mortality rate, if this follows traditional rabies, is near 100%. That's the situation. It's grim. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But I also want to talk about what's still working. Power is still on. Water is still running. Communications infrastructure is still operational. This radio station is still broadcasting. That means we're not in a complete collapse scenario yet. Society is bending, but it hasn't broken. There's still time to adapt, to respond, to survive. The question is how? How do we survive an outbreak of a virus that spreads rapidly, turns people violent, and has no cure? The answer, I think, comes down to isolation and defense. Isolate yourself from potential infection vectors. Defend your space against intrusion. Wait for the authorities to gain control or for the infection to burn itself out. It's not a great answer, but it's the only one I've got. Emily's telling me the phones are ringing off the hook. People calling the station desperate for information, for advice, for reassurance. We can't possibly answer all of them. Emily's been picking up a few, giving them the basics, but most go to voicemail. I wish I could talk to each person individually, give them personalized advice, but it's not possible. The best I can do is keep broadcasting, keep providing updates. Hope that's enough. 11:15. Social media is reporting that some neighborhoods have organized themselves into defensive groups. People barricading streets, setting up watches, pooling resources. It's grassroots community defense in the face of systemic failure. Part of me admires the initiative. People taking responsibility for their own safety, not waiting for the government to save them. Part of me worries about vigilante justice, about panicked people making bad decisions. There are reports of individuals being attacked by these neighborhood groups on suspicion of being infected. Whether those individuals were actually infected or just acting strangely, I don't know. But the potential for abuse is high. Still, I can't blame people for being paranoid. Better to be overly cautious than to let an infected person into your community. It's a moral calculus I never thought I'd have to consider. 11:30. News from Channel 7. They've just reported that Neurogen CEO, a man named Gerald Ashford, has released a video statement. Let me see if I can find it online. Got it. The video was posted on Neurogen's website about 10 minutes ago. It's Ashford sitting in what looks like a home office. He appears calm, composed, but there's something in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or guilt. Let me play this for you, see if I can relay what he's saying. He starts by expressing his deepest condolences to anyone affected by the events of the past 24 hours. He says Neurogen takes full responsibility for the incident and is cooperating completely with all investigation. He explains that the clinical trial was designed with what they believed were adequate safety measures. Multiple layers of containment, medical monitoring, emergency protocols, but he admits the virus behaved unexpectedly. It mutated faster than their models predicted. It became more aggressive, more transmissible. He says they're providing all of their research data to medical authorities in the hope that it will aid in developing a treatment. He says his team is working around the clock to assist in any way they can. Then he pauses. His composure cracks slightly. He says he's sorry. He says if he had known the risks, he never would have approved the trial. He says he understands that apologies don't bring back the people who've died or undo the suffering that's been caused. The video ends with him urging people to follow official guidance, to stay safe, to hold on to hope. It's a carefully worded statement, probably vetted by lawyers, an admission of responsibility without admitting legal liability. But there's something genuine in his delivery, or at least what appears genuine. Not that it matters. His apologies won't stop the infection. His regrets won't save lives. Emily's shaking her head. She says the video is too little, too late. She's right. But I suppose it's something. An acknowledgement that this was a human failure, a preventable disaster. Maybe that matters to someone. 11:45. I'm exhausted. I've been talking for almost 6 hours straight. My throat is raw, my voice is hoarse. But I can't stop. People are counting on this broadcast. Emily hands me a lozenge for my throat and more water. I thank her. Let me give you a traffic update, though. Traffic in the traditional sense doesn't really exist anymore. The highways are parking lots. The downtown area is a ghost town, except for the infected and the occasional police or military vehicle. Surface streets are largely empty. The city has gone quiet, not silent. There are still sirens in the distance, still the occasional gunshot or scream, but the normal sounds of urban life, traffic, construction, the hum of activity, that's all gone. It's eerie. 12 o'clock, noon. The sun is high in the sky. It's actually a nice day weather-wise. 50 degrees, sunny, light breeze, perfect autumn afternoon. Doesn't feel perfect. Emily's showing me an update from the CDC. Their team has arrived at the state capitol about 100 miles from here. They're setting up a command center, coordinating with local and state authorities. But they're not entering the city yet. Too dangerous, apparently. So the experts are keeping their distance. Can't say I blame them, but it's not encouraging. The CDC statement says they're analyzing the neurogen data, working to understand the virus's genetic structure. They say developing a treatment could take days or weeks. They're also working on containment strategies, trying to model how the infection will spread. Days or weeks. We might not have days or weeks. Emily just got a text from her friend at the mayor's office again. The message says the mayor and most of his staff have relocated to an undisclosed secure location outside the city. They're continuing to coordinate the response from there. So the mayor is left. The city's leadership is evacuated. I don't know how to feel about that. On one hand, it makes sense to protect key decision makers, ensure continuity of government. On the other hand, it looks like the captain abandoning ship. Emily says her friend sounded bitter in the text. I can imagine why. The people who created this crisis or failed to prevent it get to escape while everyone else is trapped here. It's not fair, but fairness is a luxury we can't afford right now. 12:20. I need to talk about something difficult at some point, and I don't know when this broadcast is going to end. Either the power will fail or we'll run out of fuel for the generator, or the station will be overrun, or Emily and I will need to evacuate. When that happens, you'll be on your own. No more updates, no more advice. Just you and whatever situation you're in. So I want to give you some final thoughts, things to keep in mind for when this broadcast goes silent. First, don't give up. I know it's easy to despair, to think there's no hope, but humans are incredibly resilient. We've survived plagues, wars, natural disasters. We'll survive this too, one way or another. Second, protect your humanity. In situations like this, it's tempting to become hard, to see everyone as a potential threat, but if you lose your compassion, your empathy, you've lost something essential. Help others when you can. Be kind. Remember that we're all in this together. Third, adapt. The world has changed. The rules you lived by yesterday don't apply anymore. Be flexible. Be creative. Be willing to do things you never thought you'd have to do. Fourth, remember the people you love. Hold on to those connections. They're what make life worth living even in the darkest times. And fifth, if you have the opportunity to rebuild, to create something better from the ashes of what we've lost, take it. Learn from what happened here. Don't let it happen again. That's all I've got. I hope it's enough. 12:40. Emily's telling me the scanner is reporting that several police precincts have fallen. Infected individuals breached the perimeters, overwhelmed the defenders. Officers are scattered, trying to regroup. If the police can't hold secure locations, what chance do the rest of us have? I'm also hearing that fires are spreading in the downtown area. With no one available to fight them, they're burning out of control. Entire blocks could be lost. The city is being destroyed piece by piece. I wonder if it'll ever recover, if we manage to contain this outbreak, if we develop a cure, if we survive, what will be left? A burned out shell of a once thriving city, a grave, or maybe something new. Maybe we'll rebuild, create something better. Maybe this catastrophe will force us to reevaluate what matters, how we live, what kind of society we want. I'm probably being too optimistic. 1 o'clock. It's been 7 hours since the first reports of trouble at Neurogen. 7 hours that have changed everything. Let me check the news one more time. National coverage is extensive now. Every major network is covering the outbreak. They're calling it the Neurogen incident, the rabies outbreak, the bio-crisis. None of the names quite capture the reality. There are aerial shots of our city taken from helicopters or drones. You can see the smoke from the fires, the abandoned cars on the highways, the empty streets. It looks post-apocalyptic. International news is picking it up too. BBC, Al Jazeera, others. The world is watching our city die. I wonder what they think. Do they feel sympathy, fear that it could happen in their cities, relief that they're safe for now? Probably all of the above. 1:15. Emily's laptop battery is running low. She's plugging it in, but we need to start thinking about conserving power. If the grid fails, we'll need every bit of juice we can get. I'm also getting hungry. When was the last time I ate? Before I came into work this morning, so what, 8 or 9 hours ago? Emily's got some snacks in her desk, granola bars, crackers. We should probably ration them, make them laugh. It's strange how quickly survival thinking takes over. Yesterday I'd have just walked to the deli down the street, grabbed a sandwich. Today I'm rationing granola bars. 1:30. There's a post on social media from someone claiming to have escaped the city. They say they made it through a National Guard checkpoint by hiding in the back of a supply truck. They're now in a town about 50 miles away. The post describes what they saw on their way out. Hordes of infected roaming the streets. Buildings on fire. Bodies. So many bodies. They say they feel guilty for leaving, but they had to survive. They say they hope others can forgive them. The comments are mixed. Some people call them a coward. Others say they would have done the same thing. A few ask for details on how they escaped, hoping to replicate it. I don't judge them. Survival isn't cowardice. It's human nature. But I also couldn't leave. Not while there are still people listening, still people who need information. Not while Emily's here with me. Not while my wife is holed up in the library. This is where I stay, for better or worse. 1:45. The power flickers. Just for a second, but it's noticeable. Emily and I exchange glances. If that's a sign of grid instability, we might not have much longer before we're running on the generator alone. Emily checks the generator again, still at about 70%. We're okay for now. But for how long? 2 o'clock. I've been on the air for 8 hours, my voice is giving out. Emily suggests I take a break, let her do an update, but I shake my head. As long as I can talk, I'll keep talking. People need a voice they recognize, a constant. I can be that constant, at least for a little while longer. Emily looks like she wants to argue but doesn't. She just nods and hands me more water. Let me give you another update on the overall situation. The infection has spread throughout the city. The National Guard has established a containment perimeter. The CDC is coordinating from outside the perimeter. City leadership is evacuated. Emergency services have largely collapsed. Fires are burning unchecked. Thousands are likely dead or infected. That's where we are. And there's no sign it's getting better. If anything, it's accelerating. 2:15. Emily's phone rings. It's her sister. I can hear the panic in her sister's voice even from across the room. Emily's trying to calm her down, asking what's wrong. Her sister says there are infected people outside her house. They're trying to break in. She's upstairs with her kids, has furniture blocking the bedroom door. She doesn't know what to do. Emily tells her to call 911. Her sister says she already did. They said there's no one available to respond. Emily tells her to stay quiet, keep the kids calm, don't make any noise that might attract more attention. Her sister is crying. Emily's crying. It's breaking my heart. Emily says she's going to stay on the phone with her, talk her through it. I nod, tell her to do what she needs to do. I'm on my own for the moment. 2:30. I can hear Emily in the background, still on the phone with her sister. She's speaking softly, reassuringly. I don't know if it's helping, but it's all she can do. Meanwhile, I'm monitoring the scanner, the news, social media. The picture is bleak. Reports are coming in of entire neighborhoods overrun. The infected are not just attacking individuals anymore. They're coordinating surrounding buildings, breaking through defenses. It's organized. That's what scares me. Rabies doesn't cause organization. It causes chaos. But this virus, this modified version, seems to have retained or even enhanced some level of pack intelligence. That's not supposed to be possible, but clearly it is. 2:45. The power flickers again, longer this time, 3 seconds. When it comes back, I check the equipment. Everything seems okay, but it's a warning. The grid is failing. I signal to Emily. She understands. She wraps up her call with her sister, tells her to hold on, that help will come. I don't know if that's true, but it's what her sister needs to hear. Emily hangs up and immediately checks the generator. She gives me a thumbs up. We're ready to switch over if necessary. 3 o'clock. 9 hours since this started. It feels like a lifetime. I'm looking at the city through the studio window. I can see smoke rising from multiple locations. The skyline is hazy. There's a helicopter circling in the distance. Probably news or military. It's a beautiful city. Was a beautiful city. I've lived here my entire adult life. Met my wife here, got my first job here, bought my first house here. It's home. And now it's dying. I'm not sure it can be saved. Even if the infection is contained, even if a cure is found, the damage might be too extensive. Infrastructure destroyed, population decimated, trust shattered. How do you come back from something like this? Maybe you don't. Maybe this is the end of one thing and the beginning of something else. I don't know. 3:15. Emily's monitoring the social media feeds. She says there's a lot of misinformation spreading, conspiracy theories, fake cures, scams, people trying to profit off the panic. There are also people offering genuine help, sharing resources, organizing supply drops, coordinating safe houses, humanity at its best and worst, on full display. She shows me one post that's gone viral. It's from a doctor who managed to escape the city. She's posted a detailed guide on how to identify infected individuals, how to avoid transmission, how to defend yourself if necessary. The guide is practical, well-written, probably saves lives. I make a note to read portions of it on air, give people actionable information. 3:30. I need to talk to my wife again. I try calling, but there's no answer. I try again, and again. Come on, pick up. Finally she answers. She sounds tired, scared. I ask if she's okay. She says yes for now. The library is still secure. They've heard things outside, people moving past, but no one's tried to get in yet. I tell her about the doctor's guide, suggest she and her coworkers read it. She says they will. She asks how I'm doing. I lie, tell her I'm fine. She doesn't believe me, but she doesn't push. We tell each other we love each other. We hang up. I sit for a moment, fighting back tears. Emily pretends not to notice. 3:45. The scanner is reporting that the National Guard is preparing to move into the city in force. They're going to attempt to clear infected zones, secure key infrastructure, establish safe zones for survivors. It's a risky operation. The Guard has superior firepower and training, but the infected have numbers and unpredictability. It could go either way. Still, it's action. It's something. Better than sitting back and letting the city burn. 4 o'clock. 10 hours. I've been broadcasting for 10 hours. My voice is barely there. I'm running on adrenaline and caffeine. But I keep going. Emily's holding up surprisingly well. She's scared, I can see it, but she's functional. She's keeping the station running, monitoring feeds, providing support. I couldn't do this without her. Let me give you another update. The National Guard is mobilizing for an operation into the city. The infection continues to spread. Emergency services are non-functional. Fires burn unchecked. Thousands are dead or infected. Survivors are isolated, waiting for rescue or trying to escape on their own. The federal government has declared this a national emergency. Resources are being mobilized from across the country. But deployment takes time. Help is coming, but slowly. 4:15. I'm reading excerpts from the doctor's guide on air. How to identify infected, erratic movements, aggressive behavior, excessive salivation, apparent loss of higher cognitive function. How to avoid transmission. Avoid all bodily fluids, especially saliva and blood. Assume any open wound is an infection vector. How to defend yourself. Maintain distance. Use barriers. Aim for disabling injuries if forced to engage. It's grim, practical advice. But people need it. 4:30. The power goes out. Completely, the lights die, the equipment shuts down, everything goes dark. For a moment, Emily and I just sit in the darkness. Then the generator kicks in. The lights flicker back on, the equipment powers up, we're back. But the grid is gone, we're on borrowed time now. Emily checks the fuel gauge. Still at about 65%. That gives us maybe 30 hours if we're careful. 30 hours, then silent. 4:45. I'm thinking about what happens after this broadcast ends. Assuming Emily and I survive, assuming we can find a way out or a way to hold out until rescue arrives, what then? Do we try to rebuild our lives in the ruins of this city? Do we leave, start over somewhere else? Do we spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders, waiting for the next outbreak? I don't have answers. I'm too tired to think about the future. I can barely handle the present. 5 o'clock, 11 hours, halfway through my normal workday, and it feels like I've lived a lifetime. The news is reporting that several other cities are implementing preventative lockdowns. They're not taking chances, not after seeing what happened here. Anyone showing symptoms is being quarantined. Travel is restricted, it's draconian, but necessary. Our city has become a cautionary tale, a warning of what happens when safety is sacrificed for profit, when oversight fails, when hubris meets biology. I hope the lesson is learned. I hope this never happens again. But I'm not optimistic. 5:15. Emily's sister texted, the infected outside her house have moved on. She and her kids are okay for now. Emily breaks down, relief washing over her. I give her a moment. When she composes herself, she tells me her sister is going to try to reach her parents, see if they're okay. I tell her that's a good idea, that family is what matters. Emily nods, wipes her eyes, gets back to work. She's stronger than she thinks. 5:30. The scanner is reporting that the National Guard operation has begun. Units are moving into the city from multiple directions, clearing streets, securing buildings. They're meeting heavy resistance from the infected. There are firefights in the downtown area. The sound of gunfire echoes through the city. Emily and I can hear it even inside the studio. It's war, not against an enemy army, but against our own people transformed into something monstrous. It's heartbreaking. 5:45. I'm going to read you something. It's from a listener who emailed the station about an hour ago. I think it's worth sharing. Quote, I'm sitting in my apartment alone listening to your broadcast. I don't know if I'll survive the night, but I wanted to thank you for staying on the air, for giving us information and hope when everything else is falling apart. You're doing a good thing. You're making a difference. Whatever happens, know that you mattered. End quote. I don't know who wrote that. I don't know if they're still alive, but their words mean a lot. This is why I do this job. Not for the paycheck, not for the recognition. For moments like this when my voice can make someone feel less alone. 6 o'clock, 12 hours. The sun is starting to set, dusk is falling over the city. Emily and I take a moment to look out the window. The skyline is silhouetted against the orange sky. Smoke rises in dark columns. Fires glow in the distance. It's beautiful and terrible at the same time. 6:15. The National Guard is reporting progress. They've secured several key buildings downtown, established safe zones. They're evacuating survivors to these safe zones, providing medical care, food, water. It's a glimmer of hope, tangible progress. But the operation is far from over. There are still thousands of infected in the city, still fires burning, still people trapped and waiting for help. 6:30. Emily's got an update from the CDC. They've isolated the genetic structure of the virus. It's a heavily modified rabies variant with elements they don't fully understand. The modifications have accelerated the progression, enhanced the aggression response, and made it highly transmissible through saliva and blood. The good news, if there is any, is that the virus appears to be relatively fragile outside the host. It doesn't survive long on surfaces. That means contamination is primarily through direct contact, not environmental exposure. The bad news is that there's still no treatment. The CDC is working on it, but it's a complex problem. The virus has integrated into the host's nervous system. Killing the virus means potentially killing the host. They're not ruling out a cure, but they're not promising one either. 6:45. I need to eat something. Emily hands me a granola bar. I eat it mechanically, not tasting it, just fueling my body. Emily eats one too. We sit in silence for a moment, chewing. Then we get back to work. 7 o'clock. 13 hours. It's dark outside now. The city lights are mostly out except for a few buildings running on generators or backup power. The fires provide their own illumination, casting flickering shadows. It's a scene from a nightmare. 7:15. The scanner is reporting that one of the National Guard units is pinned down. They're surrounded by infected running low on ammunition. They're requesting immediate support. I don't know if support will arrive in time. I hope it does. 7:30. Emily's monitoring social media. There's a live stream from someone inside one of the safe zones the guard has established. The person is showing the scene. Dozens of people, survivors, huddled in a large room. Medical personnel moving between them, checking injuries, distributing supplies. It looks organized, professional. The guard is doing what they can. But the stream also shows the exhaustion on everyone's faces, the fear, the trauma. These people have been through hell. And it's not over yet. 7:45. I'm running out of things to say. I've covered the facts, given advice, shared updates. At a certain point, there's nothing left but to wait and see how this unfolds. But I keep talking anyway, because silence feels like giving up. 8 o'clock. 14 hours. My body is screaming at me to rest. My mind is foggy, but I push through. Emily looks at me with concern. She suggests I take a break, let her cover for a while. I consider it. Maybe she's right. But before I can decide, the power flickers again. The generator coughs, sputters. For a terrifying moment, I think it's going to die. Then it steadies. We're okay. But it's a reminder. Our time is limited. 8:15. Let me give you another update. The National Guard has secured multiple safe zones. Survivors are being evacuated. The infection is being pushed back slowly. Fires continue to burn. The death toll is in the thousands. The CDC is working on a treatment but has no timeline for completion. That's where we are. 8:30. Emily's sister texted again. She managed to reach their parents. They're alive, safe in their basement. Emily cries again, this time from relief. I'm happy for her. In the midst of all this horror, small mercies matter. 8:40. The scanner reports that the pinned-down guard unit was rescued. They suffered casualties, but most made it out. They're regrouping at a secure location. I exhale. I didn't realize I was holding my breath. 9 o'clock. 15 hours. The night is in full swing now. The city is dark, silent except for the occasional gunshot or scream. I wonder how many people are still alive out there. How many are hiding, waiting, hoping? How many are infected, lost to the virus, beyond help? 9:15. I need to talk about something. If you're listening to this, if you've made it this far, you're a survivor. You've endured 15 hours of terror, uncertainty, and loss. That takes strength. Don't forget that. You're strong. You can make it through this. 9:30. The news is reporting that the president will address the nation tomorrow morning. He'll provide an update on the situation, outline federal response plans, offer condolences to affected families. Too little, too late, but at least it's something. 9:45. Emily checks the generator. We're at about 50% now. 20 hours left, give or take. 20 hours. Then we'll have to decide, do we stay and broadcast on emergency battery power? Do we evacuate, try to reach a safe zone? Do we hunker down, hope the infection passes us by? I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. 10 o'clock. 16 hours. My voice is gone. I'm whispering more than speaking, but I keep going. Emily's barely holding on too. We're both exhausted, running on fumes, but we can't stop. Not yet. 10:50. There's a noise outside the building. Emily and I freeze, listening. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Moving past the station, continuing down the street. We don't move. We barely breathe. The footsteps fade. We're okay. For now. 10:30. I'm thinking about all the people who didn't make it. The Neurogen employees, the trial participants, the first responders who tried to contain the outbreak, the civilians caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. They didn't deserve this. None of us did. But we got it anyway. 10:45. Emily's showing me a post from someone claiming to be a neurogen scientist. They're providing details about the virus, about the modifications that were made, about what went wrong. According to this person, the modifications were intended to make the virus less virulent, not more. They were trying to create a therapeutic agent, something that could stimulate the immune system without causing full-blown rabies. But the modifications had unintended consequences. The virus mutated inside the trial participants, became something new, something deadly. The scientist says they tried to warn management, but their concerns were dismissed. Corporate pressure, deadlines, financial incentives, all of it contributed to the decision to proceed. And now we're paying the price. If this is true, it's damning. It's proof of negligence, maybe even criminal recklessness. But that's for the lawyers and investigators to sort out, assuming any of us survive to sort it out. 11 o'clock. 17 hours. I've been on the air longer than I ever thought possible. I'm proud of that. Proud that I didn't quit, didn't run, didn't let fear win. But I'm also so tired. So very tired. 11:15. The National Guard reports that they've cleared several major infection zones. The number of active infected is decreasing. They're cautiously optimistic that they can contain the outbreak within the next 24 to 48 hours. That's good news, the best news I've heard all day. But it's not over. Not by a long shot. 11:30. Emily's falling asleep at her desk. I tell her to take a nap, get some rest. She protests, but I insist. We need her alert, not burned out. She finally agrees, curls up on the couch in the corner. Within minutes, she's asleep. I'm alone now, just me and the microphone. 11:45. I try my wife again. She answers, sounds exhausted but okay. I tell her the guard is making progress, that help is coming. She says she heard gunfire nearby earlier, but it's quieted down now. I tell her to hold on just a little longer. She says she will. We hang up. I hope she makes it. I hope we all make it. Midnight. 18 hours. It's a new day. Tuesday, November 14th. The longest Monday of my life is finally over, but the crisis continues. 12:15. I'm reading more listener emails. People sharing their stories, their experiences. Some are heartbreaking, others are inspiring. One email is from a woman who barricaded herself in her office building with a dozen coworkers. They organized themselves, rationed supplies, kept watch. They're all still alive. Another is from a man who lost his family. He's alone now, contemplating ending it all. I read his email on air, tell him not to give up. Tell him there's still hope. I don't know if he's listening, I don't know if it helps. But I say it anyway. 12:30. The scanner reports that several hospitals have been secured by the Guard. Medical personnel are treating survivors, stabilizing critical patients. It's organized triage on a massive scale. At least people are getting help now. That's something. 12:45. Emily wakes up groggy but functional. I tell her to check the generator. She does. Reports we're at about 40%. 16 hours left, maybe less. We're in the final stretch. 1 o'clock. 19 hours. The sun will rise in about 5 hours. I wonder what the city will look like in daylight. Probably worse than it does in darkness. 1:15. The news is reporting that several cities around the world are closing their borders, implementing strict quarantine protocols. They're afraid this could spread internationally. Smart move. This needs to be contained here in our city. Can't let it escape. The thought of this happening globally is too horrific to contemplate. 1:30. I'm thinking about the future again. Assuming we survive, assuming the infection is contained, what comes next? Rebuilding, obviously. Infrastructure, homes, lives, but also reckoning. Investigations into neurogen, into regulatory failures, into what allowed this to happen. There will be lawsuits, criminal charges, congressional hearings, heads will roll. But will it be enough? Will we actually learn from this? Or will it become just another cautionary tale filed away and forgotten until the next disaster? I don't know. Human nature suggests we'll repeat our mistakes, but maybe, just maybe, this will be the wake-up call we need. 1:45. Emily's monitoring the social media feeds. She says the mood is shifting. Early on it was panic and fear. Now it's anger. People demanding accountability, demanding justice. That's healthy, I think. Anger is motivating. It pushes people to act, to demand change. As long as it doesn't turn into a mob mentality. We've had enough violence for one day. 2 o'clock. 20 hours. I can't believe I've been doing this for 20 hours. My body is shutting down. I can barely keep my eyes open. But I force myself to continue. Just a little longer. Just until dawn. 2:15. The National Guard reports that they've established contact with most of the safe zones. Evacuation efforts are underway. Survivors are being transported out of the city to temporary shelters. It's working. The system is functioning. Help is arriving. We might actually make it through this. 2:30. Emily checks the generator. 35%. About 13 hours left. We're going to make it to dawn. After that, we'll see. 2:45. I'm reading more listener emails. One catches my eye. It's from a teacher who was at Roosevelt Elementary when the lockdown happened. She kept her students calm, kept them safe. All of them survived. She says she's proud of them, proud of their resilience. She says kids are tougher than we give them credit for. I believe her. Kids are amazing. 3 o'clock. 21 hours. The darkest hour before dawn, literally and metaphorically. But dawn is coming. I can feel it. 3:15. There's another noise outside, closer this time. Right outside the building. Emily and I freeze. We listen. Someone's trying the door. Rattling the handle. Testing the lock. We don't move. Don't make a sound. The rattling stops. Footsteps move away. We exhale. That was too close. 3:30. I need to stay alert. Can't let my guard down. Not now. Emily's watching the door, tense. I keep broadcasting, trying to keep my voice steady. We're okay, we're safe. For now. 3:45. The scanner reports that dawn patrols are being organized. The guard is going to sweep the city at first light, clear remaining infected, secure infrastructure. It's the beginning of the end. The outbreak isn't over, but we're turning the corner. 4 o'clock. 22 hours. The sky is starting to lighten in the east. Dawn is coming. I've made it. We've made it. Emily and I exchange glances. We're both thinking the same thing. We did it. We stayed on the air. We helped people. It's a small victory in the midst of a massive tragedy, but it's a victory nonetheless. 4:15. The sun is rising. The city is bathed in pale morning light. From the studio window I can see the damage. Buildings burned, streets littered with debris, smoke still rising in places. But I can also see movement. National Guard vehicles, helicopters, people emerging from hiding. Life is returning. Slowly. 4:30. 22 and a half hours, the sun is fully up now, and I can see the city clearly for the first time since this began. It's worse than I imagined. Entire blocks are gone, reduced to rubble and ash. Cars are overturned, windows shattered, streets painted with things I don't want to identify. But there are also signs of hope. I can see guard units moving methodically through the streets, clearing buildings, helping survivors. Emily's got fresh coffee brewing. It smells like normalcy, like the world before yesterday. I take a cup, wrap my hands around it, let the warmth seep into my fingers. I hadn't realized how cold I was. The generator hums in the background. Emily checked it again a few minutes ago. We're at 30% now, about 11 hours of broadcast time remaining if we're careful with power consumption. 11 hours should be enough. The worst is behind us, I think. I hope. 4:45. The National Guard is reporting significant progress. They've cleared approximately 40% of the city's infection zones. The remaining infected individuals are being pushed into concentrated areas where they can be contained more easily. It's brutal work, but necessary. I'm hearing reports that some infected are being captured alive rather than killed. The CDC wants living subjects for study for testing potential treatments. It makes sense scientifically, but I can't imagine being the soldier who has to subdue a violently infected person without lethal force. Emily's showing me new footage from one of the safe zones. More survivors are arriving, brought in by guard units. There must be hundreds of people now, maybe more. They look shell-shocked, traumatized, but alive. That's what matters. The footage shows medical personnel triaging arrivals. Anyone with bite marks or open wounds is being isolated immediately, quarantined until they can determine infection status. It's harsh, separating families, but again necessary. 5 o'clock. 23 hours, I've been broadcasting almost a full day. The realization hits me like a physical weight. My voice is completely gone. I'm croaking more than speaking. Every word hurts. But I keep going because people are still listening, still depending on this broadcast for information. Emily suggests I do 5-minute segments followed by music, give my voice periodic breaks. It's a good idea. I nod, grateful for her practical thinking. Let me give you an update, then we'll take a short break. The infection outbreak that began approximately 23 hours ago at Neurogen Pharmaceuticals appears to be coming under control. National Guard forces have secured multiple safe zones and are conducting systematic clearance operations throughout the city. The CDC estimates that roughly 60 to 70% of infected individuals have been neutralized or contained. Fires continue to burn in some areas but are being brought under control. Power remains out across most of the city. Running water is available in approximately half of residential areas. The death toll is estimated in the thousands, though exact numbers won't be known for days or weeks. That's where we stand. We'll be back after this music. 5:20. I'm using the music break to rest my voice, drink water, eat another granola bar. Emily's doing the same. We're both running on empty, but we're still here. She's checking messages on her phone. Her sister and parents are all safe, confirmed. She's crying again, but this time it's relief. Pure, unfiltered relief. I try my wife. She answers immediately. She sounds stronger than before, more hopeful. She says she can hear helicopters overhead, guard vehicles on the street. She thinks they're going to be evacuated soon. I tell her to be ready, to cooperate with the guard, to get to safety. She promises she will. We tell each other we love each other again. It doesn't get old, saying those words. If anything, they mean more now than ever. 5:40. Back on air, let me talk about what happens next after the immediate crisis is resolved. The city will need to be thoroughly decontaminated. Every building, every street, every vehicle. It's a massive undertaking that will take weeks or months. During that time, residents won't be allowed back except under strict supervision. The infected who were captured alive will be studied. The CDC will work to understand exactly how this virus operates, how it can be treated or cured. If a cure is found, there's a moral question about whether infected individuals who are still alive can be restored to normal function, or whether the brain damage is irreversible. Neurogen Pharmaceuticals will face investigations from multiple agencies: FDA, CDC, FBI, probably others. The company will likely be bankrupted by lawsuits. Key executives may face criminal charges. Regulatory frameworks for pharmaceutical research will be overhauled. This kind of catastrophic failure will force systemic changes in how we approach experimental treatments, especially those involving dangerous pathogens. And all of us, everyone who survived this, will carry the psychological scars for the rest of our lives. We'll need counseling, support, time to process what we've been through. The city as we knew it is gone, but something new will emerge from the ruins. It always does. 6 o'clock. I'm watching the sunrise paint the city in shades of orange and pink. It's beautiful despite everything. Nature doesn't care about human disasters. The sun rises, the earth turns, life continues. There's something comforting in that. The universe is indifferent to our suffering, yes, but also to our failures. We can rebuild, we can start over. Emily's monitoring the news feeds. The president's address has been moved up to 8 a.m. He'll be speaking in about 2 hours, providing a national update on the situation. International coverage is extensive. Our city has become a symbol of pharmaceutical hubris, of regulatory failure, of disaster, but also of resilience, of people coming together in crisis, of survival against odds. 6:15. The scanner is reporting that several major hospitals have been fully secured and are operational again. They're receiving evacuees from the safe zones, treating injuries, monitoring for infection. It's organized medical care, not the chaos of yesterday. Medical personnel who fled or went into hiding are being asked to return to work. Many are responding despite the risks. That's courage. That's dedication to healing. I'm also hearing that mental health counselors are being deployed to the safe zones. People are breaking down, experiencing delayed trauma responses now that the immediate danger has passed. Grief, shock, survivor's guilt, all of it needs to be addressed. 6:30. Let me read you something from the news wires. The governor held a press conference about 20 minutes ago. I wasn't able to listen live, but here's the transcript. Quote, "The people of this state have endured an unprecedented catastrophe, a man-made disaster that should never have happened. I want to assure everyone that we are doing everything in our power to contain the outbreak, treat the wounded, and bring those responsible to justice. The National Guard has performed heroically under impossible circumstances. Our medical personnel have worked beyond exhaustion to save lives. Our first responders have risked everything to protect others. I am proud of how this state has responded to crisis. We will rebuild, we will recover, and we will ensure that nothing like this ever happens again." End quote. Strong words. I hope he means them. Emily's showing me social media reactions to the governor's statement, mixed responses. Some people appreciate the acknowledgement, the promise of justice. Others think it's empty rhetoric, political posturing. I tend to agree with the latter, but I'm too tired to be cynical. Let the man have his moment. If it gives people hope, that's enough. 6:45. The sun is higher now and I can see more details of the city's destruction. Entire neighborhoods are unrecognizable. Landmarks I've known my whole life are gone. The downtown skyline is permanently altered. But I can also see people, survivors emerging from buildings, waving to passing guard vehicles, helping each other. Humanity persisting in the face of horror. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. 7 o'clock. 25 hours. I've been doing this for 25 hours. I don't know how I'm still functioning. Adrenaline probably? Caffeine? Sheer stubbornness? Emily looks at me with something like awe. She says she can't believe I've kept going this long. I tell her I couldn't have done it without her. It's true. We're a team. We kept this station alive when everything else was falling apart. That matters. 7:15. The National Guard is announcing that they've established a primary evacuation corridor from the city center to the perimeter. Buses are being brought in to transport survivors. Anyone in the designated safe zones will be evacuated within the next 12 hours. That includes my wife. The library is within one of those zones. She'll be on a bus soon, heading to safety. I can't tell you how much relief that brings me. She'll be okay. She's gonna make it out. 7:30. Emily's sister is also in a designated evacuation zone. Her parents are not, but they're in a neighborhood that's been cleared by the Guard. They should be safe where they are until the next round of evacuations. Emily's crying again, but smiling through the tears. Her family is alive. Against all odds, they made it. I'm happy for her. Genuinely, deeply happy. 7:45. The generator is at 25% now. About 8 hours remaining. We'll make it to mid-afternoon, maybe early evening. That should be enough. By then, the evacuation will be well underway, the situation stabilized. This broadcast will have served its purpose. I wonder what I'll do after it ends. Go home? There might not be a home to go to. Find my wife at whatever shelter they've taken her to? That seems more likely. Sleep for a week? Definitely that. 8 o'clock. The president is speaking. Emily's got it on the TV. We're watching while I continue the broadcast. He's standing at a podium in the White House, looking grave. Behind him are the flags, the usual trappings of presidential authority. He begins by expressing condolences to the families of victims. He calls the outbreak a tragedy of immense proportions, a failure of multiple systems meant to protect public safety. He announces that federal disaster relief funds are being allocated immediately. The military will remain in the city until the situation is completely resolved. The CDC will lead the medical response. The FBI will investigate Neurogen and any individuals who may bear responsibility. He says the federal government will ensure that survivors receive medical care, housing assistance, and financial support. He promises that this will not be forgotten, that the nation stands with our city. It's a good speech, well delivered. Whether the promises will be kept remains to be seen. 8:15. Emily's phone is blowing up with messages. Friends, family, colleagues, all reaching out now that communications are more stable. She's responding to as many as she can, letting people know she's okay. My phone is the same. I have dozens of unread messages. I scroll through them, sending quick replies. I'm alive. I'm at the station. I'll be in touch soon. One message catches my eye. It's from my wife. She says she's been loaded onto a bus. They're leaving now. She'll text me when she arrives at the shelter. I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. She's safe. She's out. 8:30. Let me talk about something I've been thinking about. The role of media in crisis. For the last 25 hours, this radio station has been a lifeline for people. A source of information, yes, but also a connection to something familiar, something stable. My voice has been a constant when everything else was chaos. That's the power of media, of communication. It brings people together, gives them a shared experience, helps them feel less alone. But it's also a responsibility. I've tried to be accurate, honest, helpful. I've tried not to sensationalize or fearmonger, but I'm just one person, and I've made mistakes, I'm sure. In the days and weeks ahead, there will be a lot of media coverage of this outbreak. Stories, documentaries, books. Some will be thoughtful and respectful. Others will be exploitative. I hope people remember the real story, not the sensational aspects, but the human ones. The people who died, the people who survived, the choices made under impossible circumstances. That's what matters. 8:45. The scanner is reporting that the infection zones have been reduced to about 20% of the city's total area. The infected are being corralled into smaller and smaller spaces, making containment easier. Some of those infected are beginning to show signs of deterioration. The virus burns hot and fast, and the human body can only sustain that level of aggression and metabolic activity for so long. Infected individuals are collapsing, seizing, dying. It's grim, but it's also the beginning of the end for the outbreak. If the virus kills its host within 24 to 48 hours, and if we can prevent new infections during that window, the outbreak will burn itself out. That's the hope, anyway. 9 o'clock. 27 hours. I'm in uncharted territory now. I've never broadcast for this long. I don't think anyone has, not continuously like this. My body is protesting every movement. My throat is raw. My eyes are bloodshot. But I'm still here. Emily brings me more water, more coffee. She's looking rough too, but she's still functional. Still helping. I don't know what I did to deserve a colleague like her, but I'm grateful. 9:15. The news is reporting that several countries have offered assistance. Medical teams, supplies, equipment. The international community is rallying to help. It's touching, honestly. In a world that often feels divided and hostile, it's good to see people coming together. Of course, there's also self-interest involved. Every country wants to understand this virus, wants to know how to prevent it from happening on their soil, but I'll take altruism mixed with self-interest over indifference. 9:30. Emily's showing me an article that just posted online. It's from a major news outlet, a deep dive into Neurogen's history. Apparently this isn't the first time the company has cut corners. There were previous incidents, smaller ones, that were swept under the rug. Violations of safety protocols, falsified data, pressure on researchers to produce results regardless of risks. The article suggests that Neurogen's culture was toxic from top to bottom, profit over safety, speed over caution, results over ethic. If this is accurate, and it seems to be well-sourced, then what happened here was not an accident waiting to happen. It was an inevitability. Someone needs to pay for that. 9:45. I'm getting word that the CEO of Neurogen, Gerald Ashford, has been taken into custody. Federal agents arrested him early this morning at a private residence outside the city. He's being charged with multiple counts of criminal negligence, reckless endangerment, and possibly manslaughter. More charges will likely follow as the investigation continues. It's a start. Not enough, not nearly enough to make up for thousands of deaths, but it's a start. 10 o'clock. The generator is at 20%, about 6.5 hours remaining. I'm going to make it to the end of this. I'm going to see this through. Emily checks the time, looks at me. She asks if I'm sure I want to keep going, if I shouldn't rest. I shake my head. Not yet. Soon, but not yet. She understands. She doesn't argue. 10:15. Let me give you another comprehensive update on the situation. The outbreak that began 27 hours ago has been largely contained. National Guard forces have secured approximately 80% of the city. The remaining infected are concentrated in small pockets that are being systematically cleared. Evacuation of survivors is underway, with thousands already transported to safe locations outside the perimeter. Medical facilities are operational and treating wounded. Power is being restored to critical infrastructure. The death toll is estimated between 5,000 and 8,000, though final numbers await proper accounting. The modified rabies virus responsible for the outbreak has been isolated and is being studied by the CDC. No cure or treatment has been developed yet, but research is ongoing. Infected individuals captured alive are being held in secure medical facilities for study and observation. Neurogen Pharmaceuticals is under federal investigation. Key executives have been arrested. The company's assets have been frozen pending legal proceedings. The president has declared our city a federal disaster area, unlocking emergency funds and resources. Rebuilding efforts will begin once the city is fully secured and decontaminated. That's where we are. The worst is over, but the road ahead is long. 10:30. I'm reading more listener emails. The tone has shifted. Earlier messages were panicked, desperate. Now they're grateful, reflective. One person writes, "Thank you for staying with us through the darkest night of our lives. Your voice kept me sane when I thought I was losing my mind." Another, "I don't know if you'll read this, but I want you to know you saved my life. I was about to do something stupid, but your words convinced me to hold on. I'm glad I did." These messages mean everything to me. They justify every minute I've spent behind this microphone. 10:45. Emily's sister has been evacuated. She and her kids are at a shelter about 60 miles from here. They're safe, warm, fed. Emily's parents are still in the city, but in a secured area. They'll be evacuated in the next wave. Emily looks like she might finally be able to breathe. Her family is safe. That's all that matters. 11 o'clock. 29 hours. I can see the finish line now. My wife texts me she's at the shelter. They've given her a cot and some food. She says it's crowded but organized. She asks when I'm going to leave the station, when I'll join her. I tell her soon. A few more hours, then I'll shut this down and come find her. She responds with a heart emoji. Simple, but it makes me smile. 11:15. The National Guard is reporting that they've cleared 90% of the city. Only a few small areas remain infected. Those will be dealt with by end of day. It's remarkable progress. 24 hours ago, the city was overrun. Now it's almost completely secure. The efficiency of the military response once it was fully mobilized has been impressive. I just wish it hadn't taken so long to get to that point. 11:30. The CDC has issued a preliminary report on the virus. I'm reading through it now. The virus is a heavily modified rabies variant with genetic material from several other neurotropic viruses. The modifications were likely intended to accelerate immune response, but instead they accelerated disease progression and intensified behavioral symptoms. The virus is primarily transmitted through saliva and blood, requiring direct fluid contact. It doesn't survive long outside the host, which is why environmental contamination has been minimal. Incubation period is 2 to 6 hours, much faster than traditional rabies. Symptomatic phase lasts 12 to 36 hours, ending in either death or complete neurological collapse. There is currently no cure. Infected individuals in custody are being kept sedated and restrained. Researchers are testing various antiviral compounds, but nothing has shown effectiveness yet. The report concludes that the virus is unlikely to spread beyond the established containment zone given its transmission requirements and the current security measures. That's reassuring at least. 11:45. I need to take a break. My voice is completely shot. Emily's going to cover for 15 minutes while I rest. She takes the microphone. Her voice is hoarse too, but she manages. She gives an update on the evacuation efforts, reads some listener messages, plays a song. I sit back, close my eyes, just breathe. My whole body aches. I'm more tired than I've ever been, but I made it. I'm still here. 12 o'clock. Noon. 30 hours, a full day, and 6 hours since this started. I'm back on the microphone. Emily hands it over, settles back into her monitoring role. The sun is high overhead. It's Tuesday afternoon, 24 hours after the nightmare began in earnest. So much has changed. So much has been lost. But we're still here. We survived. 12:15. The generator is at 15%. About 5 hours remaining. We'll make it to late afternoon, early evening. Emily suggests we start planning our exit strategy, how we'll shut down the station, where we'll go, how we'll get there. It's a good point. We can't just walk out into the street. We need to coordinate with the guard, get an escort to a safe zone or shelter. Emily's calling a guard checkpoint now, explaining our situation. 12:30. The guard says they can send a vehicle for us around 4 p.m. That's when they're doing another sweep of this area anyway. They'll escort us to the nearest safe zone. From there we can arrange transport to the shelters. 4 p.m. That gives us about 3.5 hours. The generator will hold until then, just barely. It's fitting, I think. The broadcast will end right as we evacuate. A clean conclusion. 12:45. Let me talk about what I've learned over the last 30 hours. I've learned that people are capable of incredible resilience. We can endure things we never thought possible. We can adapt, survive, keep going when every instinct says to give up. I've learned that community matters. In crisis, we need each other. Isolation is death. Connection is survival. I've learned that institutions can fail spectacularly. Governments, corporations, systems we trust to protect us can let us down in catastrophic ways. But individuals, ordinary people doing their best, can still make a difference. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought, and so is Emily. And so are you if you're still listening. We survived this together. 1 o'clock. 31 hours, 3 hours until extraction. The city is quiet now. The gunfire has stopped. The fires are mostly out. The infected are contained or eliminated. It's over. But the silence is unsettling. A city of 500,000 people reduced to near silence. It's eerie. 1:15. Emily's packing up her things. Laptop, phone charger, a few personal items from her desk. She's been working here for 12 years and she's reducing it all to a single bag. I should do the same. But I look around the studio and I'm not sure what to take. Everything feels simultaneously important and meaningless. I grab a few photos from my desk. My wife, my parents, Emily and me at a station event. That's all I need. 1:30. The scanner reports that the final infection zones are being cleared. By tonight, the entire city will be secure. Then the real work begins. Cleanup, decontamination, rebuilding. It'll take months, years, but it'll happen. This city will rise again. Different, changed, scarred, but alive. 1:45. I'm going to read you one more listener email. This one is from a high school student who spent the last 30 hours in his family's basement. He writes, I'm 17 years old. Yesterday I was worried about homework and college applications. Today I'm grateful to be alive. This experience has changed me in ways I don't fully understand yet, but I know I'll never take normal life for granted again. Thank you for being there through it all. Your voice was the only thing that felt real. That's why I did this. For that kid and thousands like him, so they'd know someone was still out there, still fighting, still trying to help. I hope I succeeded. 2 o'clock. 32 hours. 2 hours until extraction. The generator is at 10%, cutting it close, but we'll make it. Emily's cleaning the studio, organizing files, making sure everything's in order. I tell her we might never come back here, that the station might be permanently closed. She says she knows, but it feels right to leave it neat anyway. I understand. It's about maintaining dignity, maintaining normalcy, even when everything's falling apart. 2:15. My wife texts again. She asks if I've eaten. I laugh. In the middle of a citywide catastrophe, she's worried about whether I've eaten. I text back that I had granola bars. She responds with an eye roll emoji. I promise I'll have a real meal as soon as I get to the shelter. She says she's looking forward to seeing me. I say the same. It feels inadequate, those words, but they're all I have. 2:30. The news is reporting that the stock market has taken a massive hit. Neurogen's collapse has shaken investor confidence in pharmaceutical companies across the board. Biotech stocks are plummeting. There will be economic consequences from this beyond the immediate disaster. Companies will struggle, jobs will be lost, the ripple effects will spread far beyond our city. But the market will recover eventually. It always does. Money is resilient like that. 2:45. Emily and I are sitting in silence, waiting. There's not much left to say. We've said it all over the last 32 hours. I put on some music, something calm, soothing. We just listen, rest, prepare ourselves for the next phase. 3 o'clock, 33 hours, 1 hour until extraction. I'm recording a final message for the station's archives, assuming those archives survive. A summary of what happened, what we did, why it mattered. I talk about the outbreak, the response, the people. I talk about Emily's dedication, about the listeners who stayed with us. I talk about hope, about resilience, about the human capacity to endure. When I'm done, I save the file, back it up to the cloud. Maybe someday it'll be useful. Maybe historians will want to know what it was like, living through this moment. Or maybe it'll be forgotten, lost in the noise of history. Either way, I did my part. I documented it. I bore witness. 3:15. The generator is at 5%. We're running on fumes now. Emily's watching the door, waiting for the guard vehicle. I'm preparing to do a final broadcast to sign off. This is it. The end of a 33-hour marathon. The longest broadcast of my life. 3:30. I can hear a vehicle outside. Emily looks out the window, confirms it's the guard. They're here. Time to go. I take a breath, lean into the microphone one last time. This is Daniel Rothman, 104.7 FM. I've been with you for the last 33 hours, through the darkest night our city has ever known. We've endured together, survived together, held on to hope together. The National Guard is here to evacuate me and my colleague Emily. This broadcast is coming to an end. But the story doesn't end here. We'll rebuild, we'll recover, we'll remember those we lost and honor them by creating something better from the ruins. To everyone who listened, everyone who held on, everyone who survived, thank you. You're the reason I kept going. You're the heroes of this story. Stay safe, take care of each other, and remember that even in the darkest times, we're not alone. We have each other. This is Daniel Rothman signing off from Seno. May we all find peace in the days ahead. The generator dies. The lights go out. The equipment goes silent. Emily and I sit in the darkness for a moment, then stand and walk to the door. Outside, the guard soldiers are waiting. They escort us to the vehicle, and we climb in. As we drive through the ruined city toward safety, I look back at the station one last time. Then I turn forward toward whatever comes next.